In the heart of a bustling urban landscape, where neon lights flickered against the evening sky, Yuna moved steadily through her day, juggling trays of exquisite cuisine at an upscale restaurant. The clinking of glassware and the soft murmur of conversations created a rhythm that she had come to know well. Each night, she put on her best smile, serving patrons who came for more than just a meal. They sought an experience. Yet, beneath her poised exterior, a sense of monotony lingered, thick like the aroma of the rich dishes she carried. Before we dive into today's story, I need to share something from my heart. If you believe the world needs more romance, more stories that make us sigh and dream, I need your help. I'm so close to reaching 10,000 subscribers, and each one of you is essential to this journey. Please subscribe, hit that bell, and help me prove that period romance still lives in our hearts. Together, we're stronger. Now, back to our story. As she navigated the elegantly set tables, Yuna couldn't help but feel that there was something more to life than this cycle of serving and smiling. Perhaps it was the flicker of hope embodied by the flickering candles on the tables, or the laughter that sometimes erupted from the corner booth, but she longed for an adventure that transcended the confines of her everyday routine. Little did she know that fate was about to intervene in a most unexpected way. On one particularly busy evening, just as the dinner rush began, a new patron entered the restaurant. Yuna caught sight of him from afar, tall, impeccably dressed. His presence alone commanded attention. As he walked in, the atmosphere shifted. Whispers spread among the staff, and a subtle tension arose. This was no ordinary diner. She learned later that his name was June, a man whose reputation was woven into the fabric of the city like an intricate tapestry of power and danger. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and Yuna felt a jolt of electricity shoot through her. It was a fleeting glance, but it resonated deep within her. Something about him was magnetic, pulling her in without her consent. This man, whom she had never met, seemed to see right through her, past the servings and smiles, into her very soul. There was a dangerous allure in his gaze, one that sent a shiver down her spine. As fate would have it, Yuna found herself assigned to his table that evening. The moment she approached, she felt the weight of his stare, intense and penetrating. "What do you recommend?" he asked, his voice smooth like silk, yet carrying an edge that hinted at the complexities beneath. Grappling with a mixture of professionalism and an inexplicable thrill, she began to recommend the chef's specials, her heart racing as she explained each dish. June listened attentively, a slight smile playing on his lips. Yuna found herself captivated, momentarily forgetting the bustling restaurant around them. They exchanged brief words, and she felt the tension heightening, a connection forming in the air thick with anticipation. "Do you always work this late?" he inquired, leaning back slightly, his expression shifting from interest to something more intimate. The question was harmless, yet it made her feel exposed. "Only when the restaurant is busy," she replied, attempting to maintain her composure. In truth, she often took on extra shifts, hoping to save enough to escape the monotony of her current life. As she walked away to deliver his order, Yuna couldn't shake off the feeling that something profound had just occurred. She glanced back, catching him watching her, his eyes burning with an intensity that left her breathless. She turned quickly, heart pounding, a whirlwind of thoughts swirling in her mind. Who was this man, and why did he have such an effect on her? The evening unfolded with more interactions between them, each brief exchange intensifying the connection they had started to forge. Yuna's co-workers noticed the chemistry, exchanging knowing glances as she hurried past them carrying orders. "Looks like someone has caught the boss's eye," one of them teased, but Yuna brushed it off with a nervous laugh, unwilling to acknowledge the stirrings in her heart. As the night progressed, the restaurant slowly began to empty, the patrons dissipating into the night, but June lingered. He was the last to leave, and as he approached the exit, their paths crossed once more. "It was a pleasure," he said, his voice low, sending a thrill through her once again. Yuna offered a shy smile, her mind racing with questions left unasked. Maybe I'll see you again, he added, his tone suggesting he hoped for more than just a chance encounter. With that, he stepped outside, leaving Yuna standing at the door, a mix of excitement and confusion swirling inside her. As the door swung closed behind him, the weight of reality descended. She was drawn to him, but what lay beneath his charming exterior? The night ended, but the memory of their encounter lingered like the aftertaste of fine wine. In the days that followed, Yuna found herself unable to shake the memory of that evening. She returned to her usual routine, but the mundane began to feel different. Every clink of the glasses, every laugh that erupted from a table, reminded her of June and the magnetic pull she felt towards him. Her friends teased her, noting her daydreaming, yet she dismissed their jests, knowing it was a fleeting fancy. But in her heart, she sensed there was more to June than met the eye. The uncertainty of her feelings only deepened their intensity. One evening, as she shifted through the crowded restaurant again, she caught sight of June across the dining area. This time, the knowledge of who he was loomed large in her mind. He wasn't just a man, he was a force, someone who operated in shadows, and his world was one she had never known. Yet, part of her felt an inexplicable desire to uncover the layers behind his enigmatic facade. Would she dare to step into the unknown, into his world of danger and allure? The question lingered heavily in her mind, and as she approached the table, she felt the thrill of the chase begin anew. As days turned into weeks, Yuna found herself unable to extricate the memory of that night at the restaurant from her mind. The rush of emotions, the way June's eyes had locked onto hers, it was all-consuming. Each day at work felt increasingly mundane compared to the electric connection they had shared. As she served meals to patrons, the laughter and clinking of silverware faded into a dull background noise, overshadowed by the thoughts of the man who had ignited something within her. Yuna's friends, noticing her distracted demeanor, prodded her about her apparent infatuation. "You can't keep daydreaming about him, Yuna. You barely know who he is," one of her coworkers teased, causing a wave of heat to rise to her cheeks. "Maybe it's just a crush," she replied, brushing off their concerns, though deep down, she felt the stirrings of something more profound. One evening, while meticulously arranging the tables prior to the evening rush, Yuna caught sight of June once again. His presence was commanding even from a distance, the way he held himself exuded an aura of control and mystery. Dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, he moved with the confidence of a man who wielded power effortlessly. Every step he took seemed deliberate, and with each passing moment, she felt both drawn in and intimidated by his charisma. The restaurant buzzed with energy as patrons arrived, but her focus remained on June. This time, she was determined to engage him in conversation beyond mere pleasantries. As fate would have it, she found herself assigned to his table once more. The moment she approached, their eyes met, and an electric charge surged between them, heightening her senses. "What's your favorite dish here?" he inquired, his voice smooth yet authoritative. "I'd recommend the kimchi stew. It packs a punch," she said, trying to sound confident despite her racing heartbeat. He smirked, the corners of his mouth lifting in a way that made her stomach flutter. "I trust your judgment, Yuna." "I'll have that then." His gaze lingered on her longer than necessary, making her pulse quicken. "You know, I could get used to this." His words were playful but layered with an intensity that made her breath hitch. There was something undeniably magnetic about him, something that made her forget the bustling restaurant around them. As she left to place his order, she couldn't help but glance back, only to find him still watching her, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. The realization sent a thrill through her. Why was he so fixated on her? Was it just a fleeting interest, or was there something deeper at play? With each interaction, Yuna's curiosity about June deepened. As the weeks passed, she overheard whispers about him from other staff members, tales of his influence and the fear he instilled in others. "He's not someone you want to mess with," one of her coworkers warned. "There are stories, you know. They say he's involved with the Mafia." The word sent a chill down her spine. The thrill she felt now clashed with the sobering reality of who June was. Could she be falling for a man who lived in a world of danger? Despite the warnings, she felt an undeniable pull toward him. At the next gala event hosted by the restaurant, June made his entrance, and Yuna's heart skipped a beat. The venue was lavishly decorated, filled with high-profile guests and the hum of chatter. Just the sight of him, radiating charm and power, made her heart race. He was unlike anyone she had ever encountered. As the night progressed, Yuna found herself amidst the festivities, but her thoughts continuously drifted to June. The two of them finally crossed paths amidst the throngs of sophisticated guests, and as he approached her, time seemed to stand still. "You look stunning this evening," he complimented, his voice low and sincere. Yuna felt a warmth spread through her cheeks as she thanked him. "Do you always attend these events?" he asked, genuinely interested. She hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether to share her true feelings. "Not really," she admitted. "I usually prefer the hustle and bustle of the restaurant." His eyes sparkled with mischief. "Then perhaps you should spend more time outside of that world." The subtle invitation sent her heart racing. "Maybe," she replied coyly, a smile tugging at her lips. The chemistry between them was palpable, and with every word exchanged, they danced around the reality of their lives. As the night wore on, they found themselves on the dance floor, swaying to the music, the world around them fading away. Yuna could feel the warmth radiating from him, the scent of his cologne enveloping her senses. "It's not often I get to enjoy this side of life," he confessed, his voice deep and inviting. "I'm used to dealing with more serious matters." She looked up at him, searching his eyes for a glimpse of the man behind the notorious facade. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. He paused for a moment, a flicker of vulnerability passing across his features. "Let's just say, my world isn't as glamorous as it seems," he replied cryptically, leaving her wanting to delve deeper into his enigmatic life. The evening culminated in a moment suspended in time, as he leaned closer, their faces mere inches apart. "I'm not the man you think I am, Yuna," he whispered, the statement heavy with unspoken truths. Her heart raced at the implication of his words, a mix of excitement and apprehension swirling within her. As they parted ways that night, Yuna was left with more questions than answers. The thrill of their encounters was intoxicating, yet the reality of the world June inhabited loomed ominously over her budding feelings. Would she dare to explore the depths of his life, or was it wiser to keep her distance from the shadows that surrounded him? With a newfound determination, she resolved to discover more about June, even as fear crept into her mind. The question lingered, could she navigate the dangerous waters of his world without losing herself along the way? The journey ahead promised to be filled with unexpected twists, and for better or worse, Yuna was ready to dive headfirst into the unknown. As the days turned into weeks, Yuna found herself increasingly entangled in the web that was June's life. The initial thrill of their meetings had blossomed into something deeper, an aching curiosity mixed with excitement and trepidation. Each encounter at the restaurant transformed into a fleeting dance of glances and subtle touches, the chemistry between them undeniable yet laced with a tension that left Yuna breathless. The world around her seemed to vanish, and her heart raced with both allure and apprehension whenever he entered the room. Despite the intoxicating connection they shared, Yuna could not ignore the warnings echoing in her mind. Her friends had brushed off June's persona, claiming he was dangerous, untouchable, and deeply entrenched in a criminal underworld that she had only witnessed through flashy movies and grim news headlines. "He's not someone to get involved with," warned one of her coworkers, her voice dripping with concern. "You have no idea what he's capable of." Yet, with each interaction, the thrill of being drawn closer to someone who embodied danger only fueled her desire to understand him. One evening, after a particularly electric night at the restaurant, Yuna found herself reflecting on her life. She sat on her small balcony, the city lights twinkling like stars, and her thoughts turned to June. What was it about him that captivated her so? His striking presence? The way he commanded attention without uttering a single word? She remembered the intensity of his gaze during their last encounter, the weight of unspoken secrets lingering between them. The image of him, standing tall and confident, sent shivers down her spine as she struggled to analyze her feelings. The following weekend, she was unprepared for the unexpected turn her life would take. Yuna received an invitation to an exclusive gala, a high-profile event hosted by the restaurant where she worked. Just as she was about to decline, her friend urged her to attend, insisting it would be a night to remember. "What if June is there?" her friend suggested playfully. The thought sent a thrill through Yuna, igniting a spark of excitement that she couldn't resist. As she dressed for the event, carefully choosing a sleek black dress that accentuated her figure, she felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. The gala was held in a grand ballroom adorned with lavish chandeliers and flowing silk drapes. The air was filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses, but among the crowd, Yuna felt out of place, her heart pounding as she navigated through clusters of elegantly dressed guests. Then, she spotted him. June stood at the far end of the room, effortlessly charming those around him, but when their eyes met, the world around them faded into silence. Time seemed to slow as he made his way toward her, a confident smile playing on his lips. "You made it," he said, his voice smooth as silk, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. "You look stunning tonight." Yuna's breath caught in her throat, flattered yet overwhelmed by the attention. "Thank you," she replied, her voice slightly shaky. The chemistry between them ignited like a flame, and she felt drawn to him as if an invisible thread connected their souls. As the night unfolded, Yuna and June found themselves drifting closer amidst the festivities. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, making it easy to forget the world outside. They exchanged playful banter, and Yuna couldn't help but smile at his charm. He was unlike anyone she had ever met, revealing glimpses of vulnerability beneath his polished exterior. "Tell me about yourself," he urged, genuinely interested. This was a rare chance for her to peek behind the curtain of his life. "Honestly? There's not much to tell," she said, trying to play it cool. "I'm just a waitress trying to make a living." He chuckled softly, shaking his head. "There's more to you than that. I see strength in you, Yuna." His words ignited a warmth within her, and she felt herself leaning into the conversation, wanting to share more. "I've always had to fight for what I want," she finally admitted, her eyes locked onto his. "But sometimes I wonder if it's all worth it." June raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean?" His tone shifted, a hint of seriousness creeping in. I never imagined a life like this. I'm trying to find my way, but it feels so far out of reach sometimes." There was a vulnerability in her voice that surprised even herself as she shared the weight of her ambitions. June listened intently, his gaze unwavering, as if he could see into her soul. Before she could elaborate, the atmosphere shifted. A group of well-dressed men entered the ballroom, their energies palpable and a stark contrast to the elegance of the event. She noticed June's demeanor change almost instantly, his body tense and alert. "Excuse me for a moment," he said, his tone firm as he stepped away. Yuna watched him approach the newcomers, her heart racing as apprehension settled in the pit of her stomach. She could see the dynamic shift, conversations becoming hushed and the air thick with tension. Peering around, she caught snippets of their conversation, words like disrespect and territory piercing through the laughter and music, sending an icy shiver down her spine. June's posture was commanding, yet Yuna could see the flicker of anger in his eyes. What was happening? The shift in his demeanor, the air of authority he exuded, this was the world her co-workers warned her about. She felt a surge of fear mixed with anxiety and an undeniable pull to him, compelling her to understand the man behind the facade. As the confrontation escalated, June's voice lowered, his words clipped yet controlled. Yuna felt her breath quicken. She wanted to intervene, to reach out to him, but fear held her back. The reputation of the man she was drawn to was becoming clearer, the danger looming like storm clouds overhead. Suddenly, June turned and locked eyes with her, a silent message passing between them, a plea for her to stay safe, to remain untouched by his world. As the confrontation reached its peak, she could see the tension bursting at the seams, and the realization struck her hard: she was in too deep. Just as quickly as it began, June stepped back, dismissing the men with a charismatic wave, his expression returning to that confident mask he wore so well. But the moment was not lost on Yuna. She understood now. Stepping into his world required more than just curiosity, it demanded courage and sacrifice. The rest of the night blurred into a haze as she tried to process what she had witnessed. June returned to her side, a smile gracing his lips, as though nothing had happened. But Yuna knew better. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm fine," he replied, but she could sense the tension still coursing through him. They shared a moment of silence, an understanding passing between them that neither could ignore. "Let's get out of here," he suggested suddenly, his tone shifting as if he wanted to escape the suffocating atmosphere. Yuna nodded, her heart racing at the thought of leaving the chaos behind. As they stepped out into the cool night air, the thrill of the unknown hung between them, igniting a fire within her, a desire to unravel the truth of his life, no matter the danger that awaited her. With every beat of her heart, Yuna felt an irrevocable pull toward June, a connection that could defy the odds, even as she grappled with the reality that his world was fraught with peril. The atmosphere in the upscale restaurant was electric, but it turned sinister as Yuna found herself in the midst of uncertainty. Her heart raced as June's protective instincts kicked in, the tension palpable between them. Just moments before, they had shared an intimate connection, but now, shadows of danger loomed. Yuna stood frozen as she watched a rival gang member approach, the man's expression dark and menacing. He was a stark contrast to the elegant surroundings, his presence igniting an undercurrent of fear in the air. "What are you doing here?" June's voice cut through the chatter of the room, firm and icy. He stepped closer to Yuna, positioning himself between her and the intruder, the tension building like a taut string ready to snap. Yuna's breath hitched as she sensed the danger radiating from him, his protective nature both comforting and alarming. The rival gang member smirked, relishing the confrontation. "I heard you've been getting a little too comfortable, June. You know this is my territory." His words dripped with disdain, and Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. She had entered a world far beyond her understanding, where power was displayed in glances and threats were veiled in elegance. "Stay away from her," June warned, his voice low and dangerous. The air between them crackled with tension, a silent battle of wills. Yuna's heart raced as she took in the sight of June, his strong stance and intense gaze making him appear more formidable than ever. She could see the flicker of anger behind his composed exterior, revealing a man who was willing to fight for what he cared about. The rival gang member chuckled, dismissing June's warning as if it were a joke. "You think you can protect her? She's just a distraction, June. You're better than this." Yuna's eyes darted between the two men, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Their rivalry was evident, but it was the casual disdain for her that struck a chord deep within her. "She's not just anything," June replied sharply, his voice like steel. "You don't know anything about her." His protective instinct surged, and Yuna felt a rush of warmth at his words. In that moment, surrounded by tension and danger, she realized how deeply June cared for her, even as the threat loomed. The rival gang member stepped forward, invading June's space, but June didn't flinch. "You think this is a game? You're playing with fire," he stated, his demeanor shifting from calm to explosive. There was a flicker of uncertainty in the rival's eyes, but he quickly masked it. Yuna watched, captivated yet terrified, as the two men faced off. It was a dance of dominance, where every word was a challenge. "Why don't you step outside and settle this?" the rival suggested, his voice laced with a taunting edge. "Or are you afraid of what might happen?" June's jaw clenched, and for a moment, Yuna feared he would accept the challenge. The thought of him stepping into a physical confrontation sent a wave of panic through her. "Stop," Yuna interjected, her voice breaking through the tension. She stepped forward, placing a hand on Jun's arm. "We don't need to do this." The moment her hand made contact, a surge of warmth flowed between them, grounding her in the chaos. Jun looked down at her, surprise flickering in his eyes before shifting back to the rival. "Yuna, you don't understand," he began, but she interrupted him. "No, I do. I see it now. You're not just a businessman, you're embroiled in something much darker," she admitted, her heart pounding. "But I refuse to be anyone's pawn in this game." Her voice was steady, though uncertainty bubbled beneath the surface. She needed to establish her own strength, even if it meant stepping into a world she didn't fully comprehend. The rival gang member's amusement faded as he observed the exchange between them. "Look at you, trying to play the hero," he mocked Jun. "But you're weak for her. That's your downfall." Jun's expression hardened, but before he could respond, Yuna squeezed his arm, silently urging him to remain calm. Her heart raced as she faced the rival with newfound determination. "I'm not afraid of your threats. I know what's at stake, and I'm choosing to stand by him," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. The words hung in the air like a challenge, daring the rival to push further. The rival scoffed but took a step back, clearly taken aback by her unexpected defiance. "You really think you can handle this world? You have no idea what you're getting into." His tone dripped with contempt. Yuna felt a flash of anger but held her ground, her heart racing. "Maybe not, but I'm not running away either," she shot back. Jun's gaze flicked to her, pride mingled with admiration in his eyes, but there was also fear. The fear of what her choice would bring. Before the tension could escalate further, Jun turned his attention back to the rival, his voice calm yet firm. "This conversation is over. You will not threaten her or step into my territory again." The challenge in his tone was palpable, and Yuna could sense the weight of authority behind his words. With a final glare, the rival backed off, muttering something under his breath as he retreated. A sigh of relief escaped Yuna's lips as the immediate danger passed, but the tension still hung thick in the air. Jun remained tense beside her, his jaw clenched as he processed what had just unfolded. "Are you all right?" he asked softly, turning his full attention to her. The softness in his voice contrasted sharply with the danger they had just faced, and Yuna felt a rush of gratitude for his unwavering support. "I am now," she replied, her heart still racing. "But that was terrifying." "I should have protected you better," Jun said, his vulnerability surfacing for the first time. "This world is dangerous, and I never wanted you to be involved in it." Yuna met his gaze, her heart swelling at the raw honesty in his eyes. "I chose to be here, Jun. I chose to stand by you. But we need to be careful." Jun nodded, the weight of her words sinking in. They stood together in the aftermath, the bond between them deepening with every passing second. In that moment, Yuna realized that her choice had irrevocably tied her to this man and the tumultuous world he inhabited. But it also ignited a fire within her, a desire to face whatever came next together, no matter how perilous the journey ahead might be. The atmosphere crackled with tension as Yuna and Jun stood firm against the threat of the rival gang member. The air was thick with unspoken fears and a growing sense of urgency. Jun's instincts kicked in, and he knew he had to protect Yuna at all costs. Their gazes locked, and in that moment, Yuna felt a whirlwind of emotions coursing through her. The stakes had never been higher, and yet, she felt an undeniable pull towards Jun, a fierce connection that transcended the chaos around them. "Get ready," Jun murmured, his voice low but steady. Yuna could hear the resolve in his tone, and it ignited a fire within her. She had never been one to shy away from confrontation, and now was not the time to show any weakness. Clenching her fists, she nodded slightly, steeling herself for whatever was to come. The rival gang member smirked, sensing their apprehension. "You think you can protect her?" he taunted, stepping closer, his presence exuding a sense of menace. You're playing a dangerous game, June. This isn't just business, this is life and death. June's expression darkened, his jaw clenched tightly as he took a step forward. I won't let her be a casualty in this war. You're out of your league here. The tension in his voice resonated with power, the kind that made Yuna's heart race. She could see the fierce determination in his eyes, the unyielding protector. As if sensing the impending clash, Yuna felt the adrenaline surge through her veins. June, we can handle this together, she said, her voice firm and unwavering. It amazed her how quickly she had adapted to this new reality, how fiercely she wanted to defend the man who had captivated her since their first encounter. The rival gang member laughed, a harsh sound that cut through the air. Together? You're just a girl caught in a man's world. You don't understand the dangers lurking just beyond this moment. He gestured dismissively, but Yuna stood her ground, refusing to back down. I may not understand everything, but I know strength when I see it. And right now, that strength is right here beside me, she replied, gesturing towards June with fierce conviction. The moment felt electric, and she could sense June's surprise at her words. The rival scoffed, but the edge in his voice was less certain now. You really think you can protect her? You're weak for her, and that'll be your downfall. I'm not weak, June retorted, his voice a low growl. And neither is she. The intensity in his eyes burned with a fierce loyalty that made Yuna's heart swell, yet fear crept in at the edges of her mind. Before anything else could escalate, Yuna stepped closer to June, her heart pounding as she placed a hand on his arm. We need to think this through. Violence isn't the answer, she urged, her voice shaking slightly but laced with defiance. June turned to her, his eyes softening just a fraction. I won't let anyone hurt you, Yuna. Not now, not ever, he promised, and for a moment, the world around them blurred. The promise hung in the air between them, charged with a dangerous intensity that made Yuna's heart race. Enough of this, the rival snapped, looking furious. You don't get to make choices here. You don't run this city. With a swift motion, he shifted his stance, preparing to make a move that would shatter the fragile peace. But Yuna's instincts kicked in. June, please, she shouted, stepping in front of him, ready to shield him from whatever attack was about to come. You don't have to prove anything to him. The rival's expression twisted into one of disbelief, an unexpected flicker of surprise crossing his face. What? You think she can save you? Yuna felt a surge of protective energy radiating from June as he stepped back, allowing her to take center stage for a moment. I'm not afraid of you, she said, her voice steady. I know who June is. I know the risks. You underestimate me at your own peril. The words rang out clear and true, a declaration of her resolve. June watched her, admiration and intense pride flooding his senses. Yuna, he began, but she held up a hand, silencing him. I chose to be here, she insisted, her heart pounding fiercely. And I'll choose to stand by you, no matter what. We face this together. The rival seemed taken aback by her courage, momentarily losing his bravado. You think you're brave, don't you? He said slowly, calculating. But bravery can lead you to your demise. Maybe so, Yuna replied boldly, but cowering in fear will definitely lead to regret. June glanced at her, deciding in that instant that he could not let her face this man alone. You're right, Yuna. Together, he agreed, and the alliance they formed in that moment felt unbreakable. With swift movements, June positioned himself protectively beside her, ready to confront the rival who had underestimated them both. You've made your last mistake here, he said with a cold intensity. You don't threaten what is mine. Before another word could escape the rival's lips, he lunged forward, and the air filled with tension. Yuna held her breath, knowing this was a moment that could change everything. It was no longer just about her, it was about the bond they had forged through shared adversity. And as they faced the danger together, Yuna felt an exhilarating surge of strength, a resolve that bound them tighter than any threat could ever sever. The stakes were high, but they were ready to fight for their future, united against whatever darkness lay ahead. As the confrontation escalated, Yuna realized that every choice they made had the power to reshape their destinies. And she was not about to back down. She would fight alongside June, embracing the uncertainty of their world, ready to face whatever came next. It was no longer just about surviving, it was about conquering together. In the aftermath of their confrontation with the rival gang, Yuna and June found themselves standing in the barren alleyway, the weight of the world pressing down on their shoulders. The adrenaline still coursed through their veins, but as the dust settled, the reality of their situation began to set in. Yuna turned to June, her heart racing, her mind a jumble of emotions. "What just happened back there?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. June ran a hand through his hair, his expression unreadable. "I didn't want you to get involved in this," he said, his voice a low rumble. "You shouldn't have put yourself in harm's way." Yuna stepped closer, a fire igniting within her. "I chose to stand by you, June. I won't be a bystander in my own life. I need you to understand that I'm not afraid of your world." She searched his eyes, wanting him to see her resolve. She wasn't just a common woman, she was strong enough to face the darkness that surrounded him. "Yuna, you don't know what you're saying," he countered, his gaze intense, almost pleading. "This isn't just about you or me. It's dangerous, and I won't let anyone hurt you. Not because of me." "But you don't get it," she urged, her voice rising. "I'm already in this. I've seen things I can't unsee, and I've felt things I can't forget. You're not just some mafia boss to me, you're more than that. You've opened up parts of me I didn't know existed." There was a flicker in June's eyes, a glimmer of something deeper than the hardened exterior he always presented. He took a step back, clearly wrestling with his emotions. "You're right. I have kept you at arm's length. But I can't afford to lose you, Yuna. Not like I've lost others before." "What do you mean by that?" she asked, instinctively reaching out to him. "Please, talk to me." June took a breath, his vulnerability surfacing in that moment. "I've lost people because of the life I lead. Because of the choices I've made. It's not just the enemies I have, it's the consequences that come with them. I can't let that happen to you." Yuna felt her heart break for him, for the pain he had endured in silence. "You're not alone, June. I don't want you to push me away. We can face this together." He looked at her, raw emotion spilling over, and she could see how deeply conflicted he was. "Together," he repeated softly, almost as if he was testing the word on his tongue. "But what does that really mean for us?" "It means we figure it out," she replied, determination flooding her voice. "You've been carrying this burden alone for too long. Let me share it with you. Just promise me that you'll let me in, and I'll promise to fight by your side, always." The silence that enveloped them crackled with unspoken words, the weight of their choices hovering in the air. "You truly believe in this?" June asked quietly, his eyes searching hers for any sign of doubt. "I do," she affirmed, her heart steady. "I believe in you, June. You're more than the man everyone fears. You have a good heart, and I'm not letting fear come between us." He took a step closer, the distance between them now non-existent. "I'm not good, Yuna. I have blood on my hands. You can't just wipe that away. But I see the man behind the mafia boss." She held his gaze, feeling the fierce connection they shared. "I see the man who cares, who fights for those he loves. That's the June I want to stand beside." The look in his eyes was a mixture of admiration and apprehension. "I don't want you to regret this choice," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. Yuna reached up, brushing her fingers gently against his cheek, a simple act that grounded them both. "I won't. I promise, she whispered, feeling the warmth radiate between them. As they stood there, wrapped up in each other's presence, June leaned down, capturing her lips in a kiss that spoke of promises and fears, of love blossoming amidst chaos. It was both a declaration and a reassurance, a melding of their worlds that felt powerful and right. But just as the kiss deepened, a distant sound interrupted their moment, the rumble of engines and the sound of shouting voices approaching. They both pulled away, instincts kicking in as the reality returned with a crash. We have to go, June urged, his protective nature instantly resurfacing. They could be coming for us. Yuna nodded, her heart racing again as they glanced back down the alley. Where do we hide? He took her hand firmly, leading her to a nearby parked car. Get in, he instructed, urgency coding his command. I'll drive. As she slid into the passenger seat, she felt a rush of adrenaline, a blend of fear and determination. June was already in the driver's seat, the engine purring to life as he glanced at her, his expression a mix of concentration and concern. I'm not letting anything happen to you, he reiterated, his eyes fierce. Trust me. I do, she replied firmly, feeling the weight of their situation settle around them. Let's get out of here. As they sped away, Yuna knew there were challenges ahead, but with June by her side, she felt a sense of empowerment. They were embarking on a journey fraught with danger, yet the bond they forged was stronger than any threat. Together, they would face whatever came next, united against the shadows that loomed. As the dust settled from their chaotic escape, Yuna and June found themselves in a moment of unexpected tranquility. They were parked a few blocks away from the chaos, surrounded by the dim lights of the city that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats. June's hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white as he tried to steady his racing mind. The air was thick with unspoken words and lingering tension, a delicate balance between fear and relief. Do you think they followed us? Yuna asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She instinctively leaned closer to June, finding comfort in his presence. The adrenaline still coursed through her veins, leaving her both exhilarated and terrified. No, he replied, his gaze fixed on the road ahead, though she could see the flicker of worry in his eyes. But we can't stay here for long. I need to get you to safety first. June, we can't keep running forever, she countered, a firmness in her tone that surprised even her. She felt a surge of determination as she locked eyes with him. I'm not just some damsel in distress. I want to help. I want to understand this world you're a part of. He turned to her, the intensity of his gaze making her heart race. You don't understand the risks, Yuna. This isn't just a game. There are real dangers, and I won't put you in harm's way. Then let me choose my own path, she replied, her voice steady. I'm not afraid of you or your world. I'm afraid of losing you. The honesty in her words hung heavily between them, a bridge built on vulnerability and courage. June's expression softened, and for a moment, she saw the man beneath the mask of the Mafia boss. He was still the protector, but now he was also the man willing to open up, to share his burdens. You really want this? He asked slowly, searching her face for any hint of hesitation. I do, Yuna affirmed, feeling the weight of her decision settle in her bones. I want to be with you, June. I want to face whatever comes our way. Together. The silence that followed was charged with intensity, a shared understanding blossoming between them. June took a deep breath, his resolve solidifying as he leaned closer, his forehead resting against hers. Then we face it together, but I need you to promise me one thing. If it gets too dangerous, you will walk away. You will protect yourself above everything else. Deal, she replied, heart racing at the intimate moment that hung between them. But you have to promise me something, too. No more secrets. I need to know everything, about your world, your enemies, your past. June hesitated, a shadow crossing his features. There are things that could change how you see me. The deeper you go, the harder it gets to come back. Then let me decide how deep I want to go, she challenged softly, feeling the spark of a new beginning. I want to understand the man I'm falling for. He sighed, the tension in his body easing slightly. Okay, he conceded. But there's no turning back after this. You'll be drawn into my life in ways you can't imagine. I'm ready, she said, a fierce determination igniting within her. So, what's next? June straightened, the weight of responsibility returning to his posture. First, we need to figure out who is after us and why. I have a few contacts I can reach out to, but we need to be careful. If they know we're together, it could put you in even more danger. Yuna nodded, the reality of their situation hitting her like a tidal wave. What do we do? For now, we lay low. I have a place where we can stay safe, and I'll keep watch, he explained, his voice steady. But you need to trust me completely. I do trust you, June. You've shown me a side that no one else has ever seen, she said, her heart swelling with affection and admiration. I want to be by your side, no matter what it takes. With that, June pulled into a secluded parking lot, where the shadows of the buildings provided them a temporary refuge. The tension between them shifted into something more profound, an unspoken promise that they would navigate this turbulent journey together. As they stepped out of the car, the cool night air embraced them, a stark contrast to the heat of their previous conversations. Yuna felt a surge of courage as she walked beside him, her hand brushing against his. So, where are we going? To meet someone who can help us, he replied, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of trouble. Just stay close to me, and don't let go of my hand. Yuna nodded, determined to stand strong by his side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She knew the path would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but with June, she felt powerful. They moved carefully through the darkness, the thrill of the unknown igniting a fire within her. As they approached a dimly lit entrance, June paused, turning to face her. If things go south, promise me you'll listen. No heroics, just stay behind me. Promise, she said, and with that, they entered the shadowy world that awaited them, hand in hand. The night was filled with uncertainties, but together they would confront the storm head-on, ready to embrace whatever came next. With each step, Yuna felt more alive, more connected to June, and she was ready to prove that their love could conquer any obstacle in their way.